Are you thinking about becoming a teacher? Are you unsure about your philosophies on education?
There are many ways you can approach teaching a class. For a second, just think and reflect on your experiences in school. In what kind of environments did you learn the best?
Notice the students in this picture. It appears that they are studying health and wellness. Do you think these students could be effectively learning by being active in their environment? If you answered yes, you might consider yourself a pragmatist.
Here are a couple of the basic ideas behind pragmatism. First, pragmatism includes the idea that knowledge is based on our experiences and interactions. Second, it includes the idea that knowledge is subject to growth and change. Most often, there are two philosophers associated with pragmatism.
William James is the first person credited with using pragmatism in print in 1898, even though he credited Charles Peirce for the idea before then. He was a psychologist and philosophist and tended to use pragmatism in a more religious context.
Shortly after, John Dewey began applying pragmatism in an educational context. He believed that the best learning experiences were those that contributed to growth. He also believed that schools and the curriculum should be progressively organized. One quote from Dewey in 1897 out of the School of Journal says that, "I believe that education, therefore, is a process of living and not a preparation for future living." This quote is a good representation of Dewey's ideas that seem radical to some even today. He believed that life itself is an educational process.
James and Dewey influenced education in many ways. One influence is that there is more student-centered learning. Another example is classrooms are more active and less lecture-based. Lastly, learning can be expanded beyond the classroom.
After getting the basic ideas, you might be wondering, what might a pragmatic classroom look like? Science curriculum can be an easy way to implement pragmatism. In this example, elementary students are learning about the physics of electric circuits. You can see that they're actively working with the circuits to figure out what works and doesn't. This learning by doing is a big idea behind pragmatism. Another thing these students are demonstrating is that they're working in cooperative groups. This was a big idea that John Dewey had, is that students get the best learning experiences when working in cooperative groups.
Field trips can be a great way to implement pragmatic philosophy too. In this example, students are taken on a field trip to an interactive history museum. Students are outside of the classroom, which can spike their interest and stimulate their learning. They are learning about colonial times through interaction with people rather than a book.
Using pragmatic philosophy to design your lesson plans, you can create effective learning experiences for students. This philosophy provides great ways to appeal to students to make learning fun and exciting.
Are you a pragmatist?